Okay, we're live. Hi, everybody. I am Michelle Solis from This Must Be Ink. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Seekonk, Massachusetts. Thanks so much for joining me tonight for my Stamp and Sip workshop. It's Friday night, October 10th. So this is my Stamp and Sip workshop where the weekend starts early. I don't always stamp on a Friday night, but when I do, I'm stamping and sipping with all of you. So hopefully you guys brought something to sip on tonight. I am finishing up my blood orange spritz wine. Delicious stuff. So everybody take a sip of whatever they brought. Put that over there so it doesn't spill. And we will get started making something, hopefully, that you will like. So tonight we are going to make this arrow flap gatefold card. Not hard at all, but it does use some quarters and eighths measurements. So we'll go over those, but yeah, that's the only drawback I think of this card. And it has a lot of layers. So let me turn the camera down and get started here. Bring this over here. All right. So let's go over what we're going to need here. All right. This is the card, and it's got this little arrow fold on the front. I like this because it looks kind of like an envelope. So it's got the little fold, and then when you fold up, it's got the gatefold. And you can really use this layout or this fun fold with any paper that you've got. I'm going to show you some other samples. There's a couple more Christmas samples, but then there's some others as well that I've done with this fold. Okay, this one tonight is done with the Homemade Treats set. So this is the Homemade Treats. It's got these really cute little images of the little cookie sheet here, or not a cookie sheet, but a platter, and the little oven mitt and a rolling pin and the pastry bag. And then you've got your little cookies. And then it's got these little images here, which make, hard to see with that, which would make a cute little background. And that's what I stamped on the inside here. Hard to see on the red. Yeah. And then it's got some nice little sayings. I thought this would be really cute when gifting cookies at Christmas time. It beginning to taste a lot like Christmas. 'Tis the season for baking. And it even gives you a little to and from here. So from the kitchen of that you could put on a little homemade gift that you're giving. All right, so that's the set. So this one was done with the Timeless Plaid 6x6 paper, and the one that I'm going to do tonight is with the same Timeless Plaid paper. Okay, so what are we going to need to make this card? We are going to need a card base. Your card base is going to be flat. So this doesn't open up at all this way. It just opens up with this this gatefold in the middle. Okay, so this card base is flat, and this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then for that one, you're going to put a mat if you'd like. The mat is optional, obviously. You can do it any way you'd like. But for the original design was with a mat 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So that is going to be your card base. And then you're going to have the gatefold piece, which is 4 inches by 10 1/2 inches. And we're going to score this for the gatefold. Then you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that is 6 by 6. So if you have some cute little designer 6 by 6 paper, pull that out. That's what we're going to use. Or if you've got a 12 by 12, you can cut it down to a 6 by 6. Okay. Then for the insert, your insert is going to be Depending if you want a mat. If you want a mat for your insert, I think I did put a mat on this one. So I brought that crumb cake into the middle with a little bit of a mat there. If you want that, the mat is going to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then your insert will be 3 3/4 by 5 so that it can layer. But if you're not going to do the mat for the insert, then make your white piece 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, all the measurements for this card you're going to be able to find on my blog at thismustbeink.com. So if you don't feel like writing anything down, you can always check that out. It will be up there this weekend. Okay, so here are the pieces. Let's start on the card base first. So as I said, we've got a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then your mat is 5 1/8 by 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And we're going to just add some adhesive to that and get those glued together. Okay, and it's a very small margin around the outside. So you want to just try and get as even a border all the way around that you can. So that's going to be your card base, just like that. Now we're going to take our gatefold piece and we're going to score that. Okay, so again, this was 4 by 10 1/2. We're going to bring in our trimmer and we're going to do two score lines. We're going to move our cutting blade out of the way so we don't cut our paper. And we're going to score at 2 5/8. So 2 4/8 is right at 2 1/2. And then you're going to move up 2 lines to 2 5/8. And then what we're going to do is take that out, turn it around, and do exactly the same thing on the other end. So we're going to go to 2 5/8 and score again. And that should give you this gatefold that meets in the middle. So what we'll do is fold these 2 flaps in. You want to make sure that they're lining up at the top and the bottom, and then burnish with your bone folder. Again, make sure they're lining up at the top and the bottom, and burnish with your bone folder. So you'll have this little piece that is the gatefold there. Okay. All right, we're not going to adhere that yet. We're going to decorate this first. So we're going to do that by cutting our designer series paper. So your designer series paper that's 6 by 6, you're going to cut that in half diagonally. So bring your paper cutter back in. You're going to line this up. So the top, I like to put mine right up at the top, like right in that little notch, and it just kind of lines it up exactly where it needs to be. And then the bottom, where you can't see, let me move this up. And then your bottom corner is also going to be right in that cutting channel. You're going to lower your blade and cut up and down, and you should get 2 pieces now that are triangles. Okay, we're going to use one piece. Obviously, you can use the second one for a second card. And we're going to now make a score line at half an inch on the long side. So you're going to take this piece, and on my trimmer, I've got measurements on the right side of my blade. So I can push this over to 1/2 inch. If you don't, you'll go this way to 1/2 inch. Does it? Oh no, I'm sorry. You're not going to go that way. Yes, you're going to go over here, 1/2 inch. This was 1.5 inches way over there. So 1/2 inch. Either way, lower your scoring blade and you're going to score. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch score line right here. Okay. Okay, so that score line then we're going to mountain in the middle and we're going to fold that over and burnish that with our bone folder. That's going to create that little arrow flap that goes on here, just like that. Okay, if you're doing any decorating of your 2 flaps here, then you're going to want to do that now before you get this on. But I'm going to just show you how to attach this. So we're going to line this up so that the point of your flap is lined up exactly where that gatefold meets. So if you can see that, I guess that's a good angle. So that's going to be right on that opening there. Okay, and push it down all the way. I'll line that up and then push it down so it's sitting right on top of this piece. I keep moving it. Sorry, trying to talk and do at the same time. Okay, so we're going to line it up so it's tight to that piece. Then you're going to hold on to it and you're going to flip it up and you're going to use a pencil to just make a line on either side of your gatefold piece. And that's going to show you where to put the glue. So you're going to put it between the 2 lines that you just made. So I'm going to get my liquid glue and I'm going to just get some glue on just this little flap. Oop, well, it's a little too much glue there. All right, and then I kind of fold it a little bit so that I can see. I want to get my card base right up to that scored edge. And I'm going to line it up right in between those 2 lines that I made, right up to the top. And then I'm going to make sure that it's lined up properly by making sure that my little arrow is right there. And then I'm going to just, yeah. Hi, Lorraine. Then I'm just going to make sure that it's stuck down. Okay. All right. So then what do we do with these little flaps? We need to cut these off. And I found that the easiest way to cut them off is with your snips, and you turn it over to the back and then just cut these little flaps off. Thanks so much for popping in from your balloon festival. I hope you're having a wonderful time, and I can't wait to talk to you when you get home. All right, so I'm going to cut this one off, and now I'm going to hold this one and cut this one on this side just the same way. Okay. And then we will have our, looks like a little envelope, doesn't it? I love it. So that will open and then this will open. Okay. So if you want to decorate your inside piece, you would do that now before you glue it in. And I am going to do that. I'm going to stamp my little rolling pin here. And I wanted to do it in pecan pie and old olive. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Write markers. I know these are retired, but you can still get some of them. And if you do this where you like to put different colors on one stamp, this is the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to color the rolling pin part pecan pie. And then I'm going to take the old olive, I'm using the brush end, and I'm going to do those 2 handles. with the old olive. Okay. And then while I'm holding this dried a bit, so I'm going to huff on it. So I'm just going to breathe on it. And that will reactivate the ink, and then you're going to get your image on your insert there. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, you can catch the replay later. Okay, so I am going to attach that now to my mat. And all the measurements are going to also be on my blog, which is at thismustbeink.com. I will have that up there this weekend. Okay, so there's my insert. I'm going to put that right in here. Like I said, you don't have to use a mat for your insert, but I don't know. I think it kind of ties it all together nicely. So there we go. There's our little gatefold part. And then here's our card base. We'll bring that back in, and we're going to just mount that now to our card base. So just turn the whole thing over and get some glue. And then you're going to want to hold this flap down to be able to see where you're lining this up. I'm saying that as I can't really see this because I'm at an angle. Hopefully that's straight. Hopefully that's straight. I probably would have done better watching watching it on the camera. Okay, so there we go. So then that's the whole card. So that's the flap and the little gatefold. And then all you've got to do is put something on the front. So I did bring, what did I bring? I brought a punch, brought a couple punches actually. So I brought my 2 3/8 circle punch. Let's make a circle here, see if we like it. For that, I might have wanted maybe a basic beige. Let's get basic beige. See, putting the card together is easy. It's the decorating part that you got to take time to figure out what you want to do. And I never like to do anything exactly the same way twice. So that does make it a little more challenging. All right, maybe the basic beige. That looks a little bit better. It's not quite as stark as that white on there. Maybe the basic beige. Okay, so then I did stamp some little guys. I stamped the little hat and the, what is he? Gingerbread man and the little candy cane. Those are all the little cookies. And then I'm going to cut out this little glove, our oven mitt here. All right, so we've got our little oven mitt. And then this is the little, this is the image for that little tray that the cookies are on. So let's make this a little darker this time. I'm going to do early espresso. I think I did pecan pie last time, and my pecan pie needs some ink. So let's make it early espresso this time. So this set does come with some dies. Ooh, that's really juicy. But I haven't received the dies yet. Don't even ask me why. I didn't think I needed them, as I always do. I am always like, I don't really need the dies. But then I realized that the dies have the cookie sheet. And so maybe I did need them. So I did order them. They're coming. We'll use this again, I'm sure, for some Christmas cards. And we will use that little cookie sheet because it's adorable. Okay. All right, so here we go. And then we can get our little cookies on here. They're so cute. I'm just going to put some glue right on this piece and glue my little cookies on. I have not tried, I haven't tried stamping them on the little plate. I don't know if that works yet. So I'm stamped them and cut them out right now. And then here's the little hat. Oh, adorable. Okay, then we just need to do our sentiment. And this time we're going to do "'Tis the season for baking." And maybe in Old Olive, if I can find "'Tis the season for baking." I'm going to orient this toward the top so I have room for, oh, that needs inking too. So I have room for my cookie platter and all my things here. And this has got some stuff hanging off. Oh, goodness, I'm having technical difficulties tonight. Okay, so here we go. There's my little thingy. And I think I did this with the little glove holding it like that. Is that going to work? Kind of like this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on my glove. And get that to hold this little plate. And then we're going to put some dimensionals on this. Somewhere they are. Here we are. I'm going to put one right there where they meet. That will help them stay together. And we're going to put some dimensionals on our sentiment. Okay, so we'll get this on here. And then we'll get our little focal point on here. There. What do you think? Cute? Yes, I like it in the green. Okay, so then we just need some bling. Let's find some bling. I just got these. These are the Pearls of Beauty, and there's white, calypso coral, and crumb cake. And I thought that the crumb cake would probably work. Even though this is basic beige, I think this crumb cake is going to coordinate with it nicely. So we're going to get our take your pick tool and just grab some of those and get those right on here. And maybe one down here. And there we go. Okay, so you can dress this up as much as you want, but here it is. And then you've got your gatefold, and then I did a little stamping inside with my little rolling pin. Thanks, Cynthia. Okay, so that is the one we did tonight. Here's the one that I showed you on the Facebook page. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so that's those two with that little set. And just so you can see, you can do this with any paper. Here's one with the Painterly Pears DSP. So I just used, again, Old Olive, and I fussy cut one of the pears for the focal point there and made this a happy birthday card. And then I used one of the stamps in that set that's the flowers and made like my own DSP for the little gatefold there. And then carried over some of those flowers on the inside as well. So that's the Painterly Pears for happy birthday. And then, of course, I had to do a fall one. So here's an Autumn Wishes with the Autumn Toile paper. So in this case, I used one 6x6 piece of designer series paper. This is the, what is this? The wood paper. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, it's all the wood, country wood paper. 6x6 there for the flap. And then I used, instead of cardstock, I had a 4-inch by 10.5-inch piece of designer series paper for the gatefold piece. And then that opens up like that. So you can also, instead of using cardstock here, use a piece of designer series paper there. Okay, so that's that one. One more Christmas one, because how could I not use my North Pole delivery? So here's the North Pole delivery paper. I just cut one of the pieces down to 6x6 for the flap, and again used cardstock for the gatefold. And this time to decorate this, I used some of the little cutouts from that set and just glued those onto the little gatefold pieces. And then you just open up for your message. So there's a few different ways to make it, but I wanted to show you, if you're not a big fan of doing this with just 1/8 of an inch difference here, which is tough to line up, I made one to see what it would look like if I made it a little bit different dimension. So this one uses just 1/8 of an inch difference here, same mat sizes and card base sizes, but then I cut down this gatefold piece by another 1/4 of an inch. So it gives it a little bit more of a border around the outside, and I think that I like it just as well, if not maybe a little bit more. So I will put this card and this card both on my blog, and there will be measurements for both of these cards. So whichever one you decide you like better, you can go with those dimensions or try both of them. So this one again was the North Pole delivery paper with one of the little cutout guys. And then I used a stamp again from that set, the little envelopes for a decoration here on my cardstock. And then nothing in the middle on this one. Sorry, that was a disappointment, huh? Okay. All right. So that's it for me tonight. There's my cards. I've been busy making this fold. All right. I hope you guys are going to try it, because it's nice. And I think it's a great little wow when somebody gets a card that opens up in a surprising way. And Jimmy liked it too. Good job. All right. So let's minimize that and maximize over here. Okay. So that's it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my card. And again, if you want the measurements, go to my website, www.thismustbeink.com. And you can check my blog, and it'll have the pictures of those cards, and it will have all the measurements for you, and the directions. Okay, I'll get that up there tonight, so it'll be up there this weekend. Okay, so that's it for me tonight. I don't think I have anything else to tell you. And I will, what's today, the 10th? I will be back next Wednesday with my Stamp and Flip One Sheet Wonder. I missed last month and nobody told me. Nobody complained. So it makes me wonder, are you guys doing it? I know one lady that is definitely doing my one sheet wonders, and she did not yell at me. So I'm gonna have to take her to task with that. But anyways, I'll be back next Wednesday with my Stamp and Flip, and we'll be doing a one sheet wonder for that. And then I'll see you again next Friday for my Stamp and Sip right here. Okay. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay crafty, my friends.